It's getting cooler outside, but things are heating up in D.C. This is the Focus Group.
Listen, laugh, and learn.
You have to drill that target audience.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Until they are consuming your product, not because they love it, but because they can't escape.
We're all business.
Drill, baby, no more pussyfooting around.
Except when we're not.
I'll never get tired of our friend Miss Palin. Where has she been, by the way? She seems to have disappeared, hasn't she?
I don't know. She's been radio silent, and there's so much to talk about, but I guess she doesn't have much to contribute to the national conversation at the moment, right?
You're so nice. Hey, welcome to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash, coming to you from somewhere in the Northeast. Not New York City, though.
No.
We've not been there. So thanks for tuning in every Wednesday at 1 p.m. You find us on Facebook or our live YouTube, or our YouTube stream. And, of course, you can find out everything about us at focusgroupradio.com, which also has links to our audio podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned, which releases every Tuesday morning. So you can get the TFG Unbuttoned plus the Focus Group there at focusgroupradio.com. Also find our sponsors there, Deep Discount, who will John's going to be doing a Pick That Flick later on in the show. So stay tuned for that if you'd like to win a movie from our friends at Deep Discount and Criterion.
Last of the giveaways, folks. Last of the giveaways. Hey, speaking of movies, I'm wondering when the last time was that you possibly saw a movie starring Meryl Streep and Sam Neill called A Cry in the Dark, and it was based on the Australian story of the woman whose baby was taken from a tent near Ayers Rock. The dingo stole my baby.
Oh, my gosh. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I highly recommend it. We kind of stumbled upon it from the beginning, and the fascinating thing is the movie was made in 1989, and it recounts the tale of a husband and wife who went camping, and their young daughter was apparently taken by a dingo. And the fascinating, well, here's the thing. We were like, wow, this could have been made today, because at first the public is all behind the couple. Oh my God, we can't believe this tragedy. Your baby, we're going to help you. Then the sentiment starts to turn, and they intercut talk shows and people arguing about the whole thing, and until finally the country's against her and they think she's the one who murdered the child. She actually goes to jail for it. There's an inquest. The first one they were found innocent. The second she's found guilty. She serves 5 years. She's released when they, in fact, find baby's clothing near a dingo cave. It really is worth a watch. It's a little bit, it's kind of like a courtroom drama, but Meryl Streep's great. But I highly recommend it. It's a good movie.
All I remember is Elaine on Seinfeld yelling, "The dingo took my baby, or stole my baby."
Did she do that?
Yeah, she does that, and I used to always laugh. But so I'll have to catch that. Another thing, I gave this to you one time for your birthday. It was the collection of the Munsters.
Yes.
And they play the Munsters on a number of these MeTV or Antenna TV or whatever it is every evening. And to get myself away from the craziness that's going on, I sometimes flip it on. And I never realized until really the last couple months, if you pay attention to the dialogue, how snarky it was. And there's lots of commentary about they stick in things about the UN or what's going on with communism or whatever. But there was one last night I was dying. They had won a membership to a golf club, and a very snooty high-end golf club. You can't only members are invited, and you have to die in order to have a new member come in or whatever. And Herman says, I can't believe the luck I have, and to fall into this and on and on. He goes, now I know what the Prince of Wales feels like. And I thought he was obviously referring to Prince Philip, right? With all the, all of a sudden he falls into royalty, right? Now I know what the Prince of Wales feels like. I thought it was hilarious.
The writing for that show was always really spot on, right? I mean, you could care, and to have a character like him deliver a line like that, right? I mean, he looks like a Frankenstein, and he's the Prince of Wales.
Well, there's another one where he talks about, wasteful money in government or they can't figure out where some relative got money. And Herman says, perhaps he works for this, some nonprofit government organization or something like that. I mean, it was wham. So I just laugh. I pick up those little nasty, snarky comments that are still relevant today, of course.
Yeah, that's my point. So we both actually consume media. I couldn't there's just so much news you could watch, frankly, and I've absorbed what I'm going to absorb about what's happening. We'll watch it play out, and that's why we decided to turn to something different. And this did captivate me because of how literally it could have been made yesterday about any sensational thing where the public kind of weighs in before law has a way of winding its way through.
We went off on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg death and all the hypocrisy on our podcast, so you can head over there to. I don't think we need to rehash that again, do you, John?
Except for one little thing on Button,
Sure.
We did talk about a survey that had been released showing that a large number of gay men were going to be voting Republican. That has, in our world of 24-hour news cycle, right? That has since been, I would say, debunked. And someone
it has?
Someone
Good.
said this was an online survey. They believe the survey was put up by
Putin.
Well,
Putin.
just choose a third party that's interested in our elections, right? And they said it probably wasn't good data, and so we had talked about that. I think what we talked about on Monday still holds, or on our Tuesday podcast, and that is that some people choose their issues to vote on, and that's the way it goes. This one, though, that particular story, they said, no, that survey might not be. So that's a little bit of,
Well, that's good. So, John, this is the last of it. Enjoy it while you can. My hair's getting cut.
You sent me a note earlier that you were heading in, and are you upset about this? And what tipped the scale?
Well, so here's what's so funny. I thought it looked darn good today. And so I thought, well, maybe I won't get a cut. But most mornings I wake up and it looks like I look like a disaster. And I've had a couple of people say that I reminded them of Steve Bannon. Well, that's not the look I'm going for. So I've decided it's time for a haircut and also try to shed my COVID-19. But so, yeah, I'm going to cut the hair. It's just easier to have shorter hair. You know that. I don't have to tell you.
I have no hair.
And it's easy, right? You don't have to think about it.
Super easy.
You could jump out of bed and look like $1 million. I jump out of bed, looks like I jumped out of bed.
It does need cutting. I do have my clippers, and I do that every, I guess, 7 or 8 days. But it doesn't. I'm the only one who seems to notice. Like, I'll do it, and I'll say to Bob, like, "Does this look okay?" He goes, "Looks the same."
And Bob, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I talked about, it might have been last week or the week before, I talked about this this phenomenon that was happening in over in Europe, where all these cruise ships were parked and people were like, taking boat tours out to see that, which I think would be kind of cool. The story I'm going to talk about today is something called Flights to Nowhere, and basically, it's this thing that, yeah, I know.
And there's so many ways this could go, John.
Yeah. Yes, indeed it can. So over Australia, some of the Asian countries are doing this. They open up a flight for like a 7 or 6 hour flight, and it takes off and lands from the exact same airport. Qantas was the first one to do this. And so I'll read you what it says here. Qantas, among the latest to advertise a flight that departs and arrives at the same airport, told Reuters that the trip sold out less than 10 minutes after going on sale on Thursday. This was 4 weeks ago. And since then, a couple of other airlines have done this. But here's the thing. The 134 seats they made available for that flight vanished at prices that ranged from $575 a seat to $2,765 a seat. So I guess that might have been first or premium. And they said if the demand is there, we'll definitely look at doing more of these. Sold out in, what does it say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. The airlines have suffered very badly during the event, as we all know, because travel is super way down. Now, of course, people were instantly like, how dare you do this? It's such a waste of fuel. It's going to impact the environment. And I'm thinking, well, there's so much fewer planes flying. I can't believe that the one that's kind of looping around is going to it's going to cause some problems, right?
How did they say, or did I miss how long the flight is?
This one was approximately 7 hours. So it was almost
I would understand. I would do this if you never had the chance to fly first class, which really is in some airlines just great, right? You and I both have had the pleasure of experiencing that. And I think for somebody that would like to do that and experience that, this would be a great thing, right? or if there was a particular plane that you wanted to fly on that you've never flown on before. The Concorde used to do that with advertisers. They used to leave JFK and make a loop out over the Atlantic and come back, just to give you the feeling of what it was like to fly on a Concorde. So I could see that part, but just getting on a plane to fly, would you want to do that?
For some people, this was like a big thing. It felt like
No, I mean you.
No, I don't enjoy the act of flying enough to just fly nowhere, right? I'll finish this one up by saying when they looked at this economics of it, they said it certainly doesn't hurt to do these flights, but I wouldn't expect a big impact in terms of revenue or reduced losses during these challenging times. And that's because they probably make as much as they put in terms of fuel and staffing, but I'm assuming a lot of the people that did this were their frequent flyers and people who just love being on planes in the air. And we know we have friends like that. When we were doing more of our travel stuff, they lived to travel, and part of it was the experience of flying.
The IGLTA, jump on.
We're going nowhere. Isn't that the same as before?
Nowhere. Let's go somewhere and see what rainbows look like in Africa.
Oh boy, someone's got to get their hair cut today. That's
well, come on.
I agree.
You can hold a big meeting in Africa.
But you're also the same guy who would tell you,
yourself.
Don't go to a safari, go to Great Adventure or something down at Disney, right? Same animals.
Well, yes, and I got in trouble for that, but that's what I believe. I mean, when you go there, they give you a little chart, and you got to pick out. You're going to see the giraffe, you're going to see a warthog, you're going to see a rhino, you're going to see a lion, and I think there's something else. And then you have a little checkbox, and you check it off. And I said I could have done this in 45 minutes off exit 7 at the Turnpike, Jersey Turnpike.
At one of the Great Adventures, right?
Right, drive right through. Boom, there it is. There's the rhino.
Got the warthog.
The giraffe, there's the warthog. There's
Do I get something free, a little toy at the end?
And not have to fly for 3 days. Anyway, I'm cynical that way, I suppose. So we'll see. So what caught my eye was a headline here. It says, Christian Kroger employees sue for being forced to wear a heart on their uniform. They say it's gay. So I'll be curious to see what you think about this. So there's a uniform that, so the EEOC has taken up this case by a number of Christian employees, and really it's just two, Brenda Lawson, who's 72, and Trudy Rickard, 57. They work at Kroger in Conway, Arkansas, and they say that they faced retaliation and were eventually fired because they complained about a rainbow heart that was on their aprons that were issued to them early last year. They said, many said that the aprons weren't something you would certainly wear for pride. And they show a picture. So if you're watching online, you'll see a picture of what the rainbow is. It's not the full colors of the rainbow. It's really got yellow, pink, and some blue in it.
It's a navy blue heart that has a yellow border and then a red border and a blue border. So I would hardly call it a full rainbow, right?
Right. They're saying that it's their Christian beliefs are that homosexuality is a sin, and that this is them trying to push a gay agenda, and the EEOC is going to take their case up. And Kroger has not said anything. Now, Kroger's had 100% ratings. They've got a great reputation in terms of diversity and inclusion. And they just have not said anything about this. And they said, sometimes a heart is just a heart.
Thank God somebody just said that, right? And is Kroger
sometimes
primarily
a heart's just a heart? We're not making any statement here. So they're trying to figure out. They haven't broken any laws. They said, so these two employees that got fired said other employees that put their name tags over the heart or tried to cover the heart up, but and they weren't fired. But these two, they think, were, just because they said that they had made a stink about it and are suing the company. But they're doing it based upon, and we've heard this before, it's the cake defense, right?
Yeah.
Is this is against our religious beliefs, and you're forcing this upon us, and so there. What do you think?
Tim, is Kroger as a chain primarily what states does it, like? Is Pennsylvania? It's like a couple states.
It's a big Midwestern chain. When I was in Ohio, Kroger was everywhere, similar to like Acme is out in the Philly area, or Hannaford's would be where you are. It's the big or Giant down here.
So
it's the big grocery chain.
So my take on this is, I look at that heart thing, and I think, given the times we're in, the event, that's like, we care. I don't read anything other than, hey, we care, or it's a nice little heart. It's one of those things. It would be like criticizing putting rainbows up. People had them on their front lawns and hanging in windows as a testament or a thank you to first responders to say, oh, it's a gay, no, it's for, Could you believe that a combination of colors causes such a flap? Right. We're talking about a heart with 3 different colors around it.
Yeah, and I think that was their and that was really where Kroger was saying is that we care, I guess, and the heart represents care. But because of the colors, they said that, what was the other line they gave? They said they believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible and our tightly held religious beliefs tell us that homosexuality is a sin. And because of this, we're suing. We don't want to wear the apron.
The cultural issues are so cranked up that you'd look at anything. I mean, what if it was a toy train with those 3 colors around it? Oh, I can't get on the gay train.
Well, there was another story attached to this where a little girl, looked like she was 8 or 9 years old, was sent home from school. I believe it might have also been Arkansas or maybe South Carolina because she had a rainbow sweater on. And they said that she was pushing a gay agenda because of the rainbow sweater.
Wow. So, you got to really work hard to get that, right?
Get that far, right?
Yeah.
All right. Our business birthday this week.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So this one kind of came out of the blue for me, and when I found it. So the woman's name is Sue Ling Jin. She was born September 23rd, 1941. She died at 73 of a stroke in 2014, right after her 73rd birthday. But she's a pioneering Chicago entrepreneur, and they said she had big ideas and she came from humble origins. And she grew up, she was a Chinese American. She started out, believe it or not, she worked at her parents' restaurant, Chinese restaurant. But then in order to earn some extra money, she was a Playboy bunny in Chicago for
Seriously?
a while. I tried to find
a picture of her in the
no
outfit.
Picture of her. I think she controls her image quite well. There's very little about her and what you see about her. But she took all that money and she invested it in real estate. And so she was very smart with earning that Playboy money. And she said it taught her a lot about dealing with people, administrative issues, organization schedule, and so forth. So I thought that part of it was funny. But she was on a plane and in Chicago, and she flew on Midway Airlines. She said she was served a half-frozen sweet roll.
She could break her teeth on it, right?
And she said right then and there, she thought, you know what, I could do better than this. I can do better than this kind of food that I'm constantly getting bad food on airlines, so I can do something about it. So she launched a company called Flying Food Group out of Chicago. It's a Chicago-based catering company that's taken airline food to a new level. The success that she had was unbelievable. She started out with Midway Airlines, but then she actually moved on to some of the bigger airlines such as British Airways, Lufthansa, a lot of the larger international airlines that fly in and out of Chicago, and created this huge catering business for the airlines. And Midway was her biggest airline, but then when they went out of business, she went and she started working very hard. They said she was really diligent. She had experienced racism and sexism her whole life, and they said, and that just made her work harder and harder. And so when she lost this big account, because she was really just servicing Midway at the time, she decided she was going to change the focus a little bit and then go after other airlines, which she did, and it's now a $500 million company. Serving food to the airlines. That is the next level. And if you do fly in some of these premium airlines within business class or something, quite frankly, the food is not bad. I mean, it is quite good, I think.
Agreed. And this is so I think that what I love about her and this birthday is that she found it's like what we talk about all the time, like that Jay Samit book. What's the problem you can solve? Well, I don't like the food on this flight, and I think I can do better. And what does she do? She creates this company, or she invests in it, I have up a picture that Tim on our video feed. I put up a picture of. It looks like some kind of competition where they're judging the food. This must be entrees and stuff that were produced for an airline, and they're actually seeing how the taste. Is it a taste test or something?
Yeah, well, and depending upon different airlines, so obviously the people on British Air might want something different than the people at Qantas or Delta, whatever the airlines are in terms of the food. So in these kitchens, she has 20 catering kitchens from Honolulu to New York. She services more than 70 airlines. As I said last year, it was $500 million in revenue, and so God bless her. They said that the one thing about her too, and this is another thing that we've learned from a lot of folks, is that she never forgot where she came from, and so she's taken all her profits, all her energies, she puts toward women and minority ownership of small business.
Wow!
Because she said she was so discriminated against, and people felt she couldn't do it, that she just had to try harder. So she put all her efforts, and she was well known in Chicago and well loved in terms of mentoring women and mentoring new immigrants that would come into the country on how to work in the American system. So she never forgot her roots. She was on many boards, and interestingly enough, they said she met her soulmate. And she got married. She didn't have children of her own, but she met the founder of remember the phone company in the 80s, MCI?
Who cannot? Yeah, sure. MCI was one of the one. Yeah, yes.
So that was her husband.
Seriously.
So yes, his William McGowan, founder and chairman of MCI Communications. She married him in 1984. He had died after suffering a heart attack in 92. But she met, and so all of that money as well, they put into many of the universities and lots of. As I said, lots of charitable organizations in Chicago. So I like these sort of birthdays. I've stumbled on this one quite by accident, and we've never covered her birthday before. Plus, I think very rarely do we get an Asian American birthday as well in terms of business sometimes, right? So I thought that part about it was cool as well. So happy birthday, Su Ling Jin.
I tell you,
September 23rd, 1941.
I wonder what she would have to say about the flights to nowhere. Probably a lot of good things, because they're going to serve food on the flight to nowhere, right?
I was going to say, as long as you're serving food, who cares, right?
But I'm glad you hit on some of those really cool points about her as a businesswoman and as a member of a community and someone who gives back. I think that you hear the value of the company, you hear how well she did, and knowing that she is turning right around and helping others to succeed where she found barriers in her career. You couldn't ask for a better business birthday. That's a good one.
Admirable. So many of you know that Deep Discount's been with us here on the Focus Group. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, you can click on the Deep Discount logo and start shopping away. We love Deep Discount. John and I often say we get on the link, and then we start shopping, and end up getting taking a lot of time. I guess, for lack of a better word.
It's true.
So you find them by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the Deep Discount logo. As I promised early on, John is going to take over and run us through one of our more popular games, Pick That Flick. So here you go, Mr. Nash.
Indeed. It's a Criterion month. It's September's Criterion month on the Focus Group. And we love the Criterion collection because the movies are often remastered. They do a beautiful job with the audio track, obviously with the actual prints, the negatives. And they often add in, not often, I mean all the time, they add in great added material, director interviews, actor interviews, sometimes cinematography that kind of round out your viewing experience of a picture. So Criterion gave us discs to give away this month, and it's all the same movie. It's The Times of Harvey Milk, which is a really, really cool movie. Many people have seen it in the past, and in fact, some who have won the contest already over the last couple of weeks have commented on how the movie was such an effective viewing experience when they were younger that they're sharing it with their kids or people that haven't seen the movie. It's the Oscar-winning The Times of Harvey Milk, directed by Robert Epstein. And so we're going to give copies of this away, and we do it with a game called Pick That Flick. And Pick That Flick is very easy to play. I'm going to play a 7 to 10 second audio clip from a movie. If you know the name of the movie it came from, simply send us your guess to letters at focusgroupradio.com. Letters at focusgroupradio.com. if you don't check your email too often and you do win, include your address if you want to. We're only using it to mail it to you. If you do check your email often, though, and you do win, I'll send you a note back saying, hey, congratulations, give me your mailing address, and that's it. So I am now going to play the clue for what you're going to guess.
An additional codicil delivered into my possession by post only this morning contains an amendment to the original certificate, which, as prescribed by law, I will read to you now.
All right,
How do you pull these clips?
You know, I'm such a movie hound.
Is this in your head? And like, oh, I think that'd be a good one.
Yes. Well, because you have to pick it in a way that is not going to throw someone into like an actor can throw you into a movie quickly, right? But some actors have been in a lot of movies. I'll play the clue one more time.
An additional codicil delivered into my possession by post only this morning contains an amendment to the original certificate, which, as prescribed by law, I will read to you now.
All right. If you know the name of the movie, letters at focusgroupradio.com for your chance to win a Blu-ray copy of The Times of Harvey Milk. And of course,
is that a movie I would know, John?
You know, you and I should know the movie. Bob remembers seeing it years ago, and it really had an impact on him. I have a copy that you're going to be getting soon, so you're going to know the movie very soon.
Okay, well, that's all you need to say. Then I was just curious. The voice sounds familiar to me, but I can't.
Oh! You're talking about Harvey Milk or The Clue?
The Clue.
Oh, no. The Clue is definitely in movie's title, you know, but I don't think you saw it, and I'm not sure you'd like it. I just know your taste. So, and as always with Deep Discount, we have a new release this week, and the new release this week is The Good Fight Season 4. Now, this stars Christine Baranski, and it actually picks up on a series that she was in. I don't know if you used to watch this, Tim. It was The Good Wife that I think
right.
It's a lead-in from that. Yeah, reprising her role from The Good Wife, Christine Baranski stars as attorney Diane Lockhart in this legal drama. I've seen her talk about the show. She's passionate about doing it. Sounds great. I haven't been a fan. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan. I haven't watched it. Have you watched any of The Good Wife or The Good Fight?
I have not. But I like Christine Baranski, so I'll have to give it a try.
Yeah, so again, Deep Discount, Criterion Month. I'll run through. Here's the Criterion page we're showing online. Rewind, since we're time shifting or YouTubing, and if you want to pick that flick, find the little clue that I played a while ago for a movie. If you know the name, send it to letters@focusgroupradio.com. And the release this week is The Good Fight. We are going to take a super quick break. And when we return, we have a very good shop talk that Tim found. And it's so right up our alley. And it's something that you would have done, Tim Bennett. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to The Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. So, as John promised, we have an article here that I had stumbled across, which many of you may have as well, but it's from a brand called Patagonia, which, similar to one of those high-end, high-tech luxury outdoor brands, maybe not luxury, but it certainly is a well-known tech brand. I guess I would call it luxury or near luxury. Patagonia.
Yeah.
Similar to North Face, right?
Mm-hmm. So
they have the headline is Patagonia sells out of shorts with tags that read, vote the assholes out. So on a pair of their shorts, so it says with less than $50 or $50, less than 50 days until the election, what they call an Easter egg. And John has done this, and we've done this in commercials, and we still do it. An Easter egg within the marketing or advertising space is something that's found, something that's hidden that allows the customer or the consumer to find it, right, John? Is that the best explanation of an Easter egg?
Yeah, it's a discovery thing. And Easter eggs are all over the place. We have them in TV shows and movies, and they're put in by, the artisans, or they're put in on purpose often. And yeah, it's a lesson I learned from Tim many years ago about marketing, and I don't even know, you might have learned it from a different creative director, but it was let the consumer complete the circle. Let them,
Right.
let them complete the ad. This is something that's even different from that, though, because the shorts were released, they were sold, and then eventually someone put an image on Twitter of them, a hand holding up the tag to show you what was underneath. And it's like the tag we're talking about is if on the waistband of the shorts, where it would say the size, maybe like 32 or 34 or whatever, it's behind that. And behind that it says, vote the assholes out. And
Right.
the interesting thing about it was that this is something the chairman has been saying for a while in relation to politicians who do not believe that climate change exists or that the global environment is changing a great deal. So this is his passionate thing to, like, if they don't buy into this, they're helping to destroy the planet, vote them out. So it's not really, it's not blue, red. It's not one party or the other. It's do you think something's changing? Can we help it and make it stop or not? And that's where this came from.
Right. They said it's based, so they bought the company in '73, and the reason they put it on this particular short was that was one of the products that they had then. And you're exactly right. It's to vote out climate deniers. They don't care what party they're from. If you're a climate denier, they're saying let's vote the a-holes out. And people discovered this, so they never made note of it. They never talked about it, but as it was discovered, and people started asking about it, I thought, oh my God, was it a rogue employee? Did somebody do this not knowingly? And Patagonia stepped right up front and said, no, we did it, and we're glad we did it, and it sold out. We may do some more of it, and because it's an important thing for us. It reminded me when you did. You had done a Subaru TV commercial, and some people caught it, but many, I think, missed it.
Yeah.
But you had actually had lots of Easter eggs in it. If you remember, we had the exit the car went off said Grey Gardens. There was you and Bob were hidden in there waving, and I think it said something like Bear Crossing or something, and there was kind of a big guy there.
It was an Outback going down. It was like a silhouette type thing, and the Outback's going by all this stuff. And as Tim said, one was the exit for Grey Gardens. There was a rainbow in the background. At one time, the car passes Dorothy strolling with her picnic basket. And then there was a
Volvo with a jacked up on blocks. Volvo Cross.
But you had to watch it a number of times to pick it up.
Thing that was called Cross Country, the Volvo Cross Country broken down. But you had to be smart enough to pick out the quote unquote the Easter eggs. But this also reminded me that anybody who would have been offended by this probably would not be a Patagonia customer. And it was the same logic that we would employ when you and I were doing gay and lesbian marketing at Subaru, is that when we get letters or people would complain, the reality was those that were complaining were never really going to buy the car anyway. Right, they were just not going to buy the car, and so that's why we would always say we sell cars to a smart, well-educated consumer, which was a nice way of saying, yeah, you weren't going to buy anyway. So
that was one of my favorite PR lines that you would use.
What? I'm not smart. I'm not educated. Yeah. Well, that's who we sell our cars to. I'm sorry you're offended by our advertising, because we sell cars to many smart and well-educated people.
When you smarten up, you might want to shop our brand. Tim sent two pieces of information for this article. One was an article from Fast Company, which describes what we just, and then he sent another interview to kind of round out the story, and that was an interview with one of the heads of marketing, that was I think it was Esquire magazine. It was really fascinating to read, because normally when you read these situations where something might surprise the corporate marketing department, like, oh, who put that tag there? Who did? It seemed to be that, not everybody in the chain of command knew, but they certainly did not push back against it or say it was right up. It just followed corporate values in an interesting way.
Yeah, and sometimes and that's a risk. I mean, you and I, when you and I we had quite a bit of leeway when you and I did the niche offshoot of gay and lesbian advertising at Subaru. We didn't go through an awful lot of steps of approval, but we were able to be playful with that too as well. Remember?
Well,
there were some things we got away with the Baja and the tie down. And things.
But I'll just share with our listeners some of the ways that Tim's extremely great knowledge of how decision making in corporate America works. We, as our agency, was given the ability to do 3 TV spots custom made for the launch of Logo. You know, I was at Viacom's LGBT channel back in the day, still around. And we were one of the premier brands that were on that, meaning Subaru of America. And Tim, we had a beautiful style we had come up with. A lot of that was motion graphics and 3D merged with actual people, but it was a very stylistic campaign. We only learned later that Tim did not show these to senior management until I think maybe 72 hours before they were going to air. Was it something like that?
Might have been the afternoon before they were going to air that evening. And it was a risk. I rolled the dice, and I still remember. You got the ads to me on a disc. It was a big thing. A disc. I had to find a disc player.
It was a DVD or something, right?
So I show them, and this was Fred. He was sitting there, and he's leaning back in his chair, an old Southern boy, and he's looking at him. He's got his hand on his chin. Run it again. Say, run it again. Run it again. Say, run it again. Who did these? I said, yeah, Moon City with, John Nash, Agency involved in these? And the big agency, of course. Nope. Takes it out, puts it in the thing. Good work. That's all he said. Nothing else.
Agency involved in this?
Nope.
Talk about, Tim, you should have gone and played Powerball or headed to Atlantic City. You were close enough to that town. You could have put big chips on the table, right?
Yeah, I just remember him sitting there rocking and looking, and you never knew what was going to come out next. It could have been like you're in trouble or whatever. And then those interstitials, which, by the way,
beautiful
we
work.
talked about this. We should, if you're a listener, I don't think we've done this. We should post the commercials on our Facebook page at Focus Group Radio. We should post those on Facebook, don't you think?
I
think
agree.
It'd be kind of cool as a throwback for people to see those.
Tim actually brought it up to my attention because we're creating some new web stuff for our consulting firm, and I said, well, why don't we put this up? And Tim said, while you're doing that, could you make a file version that we could put on Facebook to share with the listeners? I agree with you.
I think it's a good idea.
I think the commercials, the 3 that we're talking about, and then the interstitials that were really groundbreaking. And also, again, Tim had selected some people we were profiling that really made a huge difference because they were just wonderful people, and you just connect with them. So I will share those. But so this story, overall, the whole story of the Patagonia thing, I just like when a company does something surprising and fun. You could flip the tag.
And it was their gut. You could tell this was a gut thing, right, John?
Yeah.
And that's where you and I always get frustrated. This was a smart thing that totally fit the Patagonia target and the Patagonia customer.
Wasn't
This is so
overthought.
Patagonia.
They didn't overthink it. The chairman had said this about climate deniers, and that's that. And so if it came from the top down, they could put it in there. And people love the surprise, at least as Tim said earlier, people who love the brand. I'm not sure if they have any pushback, but it's a great story, and it reminds you that sometimes marketing and advertising, and that's one of the reasons we love this industry, it does move the needle sometimes. Even though you're dealing with 30-second spots and print ads and short content, sometimes it really does make a point, and people get it. So there you go.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to wrap up so that Tim can go get, I told him during the break that when he gets his haircut, you know that legend of Samson, when he loses all his power. I don't know if that's...
Well, listen, I was supposed to get $1,000 if I let it go through December.
You're
Richard,
so
but
close.
That's not going to happen.
You're so close.
I just... When I was told I looked like Steve Bannon, that was it.
I do that was the tipping point, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. We want to thank you for spending time with us today. Check out focusgroupradio.com. That's our site. You can find all our media there, video and audio, including Unbuttoned, our Tuesday podcast. We want to thank Deep Discount for being a member and partner of ours here on the Focus Group since the start. It's Criterion Month. We're giving some discs away. I spoke earlier about that. It's the Times of Harvey Milk. There is a clue embedded in there and we're playing a game called Pick That Flick. If you know the name of the movie that clip came from, drop us a line at letters@focusgroupradio.com and you may win one of these discs. And the release this week is The Good Fight Season 4 on DVD. So as we close every show, we like to say, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we'll see you in the new week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.